Hey guys, and welcome to a special edition of the MMAOB Daily Show. As always, I'm your host, Adam Martin, joined today by my good buddy here, Cole Shelton. We're going to be breaking down UFC Greenville today for you guys, also talking about Bellator 223, which takes place this weekend in England. We'll recap the Contender series a bit and talk about some other big fight announcements. First and foremost, Cole, how about those Raptors, man? I mean, God, what a great win, dude. Game 6. I was in Chicago, so I wasn't here celebrating and jumping on cars and flipping them over in downtown Toronto, but came home, went to the parade. I know you were there too, man. How pumped are you, buddy?
Man, it was unreal. The parade, like me and my friends were like, this could be only time in our lives we could see them win. Like, we got to go. Went down there and it was packed. Like, the streets of Toronto, I've never seen them so busy. Like, everyone was in such a good mood. Cops were really lenient on the tickets. Like, people were just drinking on the streets, having a good time. Cops were doing anything, which is good for them. They were letting everyone celebrate. I mean, it was so many people. Like, they said like over 2 million people were there. So that's just crazy.
I've heard of 3 million, man. I don't know like what the exact, I mean, I don't know how you get the exact count. You can just guesstimate, I guess. But yeah, it was crazy. Like, I've never seen that many people in such a small spot. I mean, what I was talking with my friends was, imagine the Leafs win the cup, man. Imagine the Leafs win. Then you'll, like, I know basketball is more of a global sport, and you had people from all over Canada that love the team, but imagine the Leafs win. We've been waiting a long time for that too. So it was crazy. Unfortunately, there was a shooting. I'm glad you're okay, Cole. I'm glad I'm okay. I was really close to where the shooting was, but I left early because my feet hurt. So thankfully, my feet got sore because of all the walking I did in Chicago on the weekend. But man, it's great to see the Raptors win. But you guys are here to talk, hear us talk about MMA. So let's get right into it. So we're gonna go talk about UFC Greenville here. You know, Cole, not a great card, but a solid card. I think as far as the matchups go, like, there's some fun fights on the card. Just lacking in big names. Before we break it down, like, just initial reaction to the card itself.
Well, like, so Moicano's a guy I talked to a lot, and when I found out he said he was fighting on Greenville, I'm like, oh, that'd be like a good co-main event. And then he's like, oh, it's the main event. I'm like, main event, like, it's a good fight, but it's not. None of them are really huge names that's going to get people to tune into the card. Like, for example, next week's card, like the Ngannou Dos Santos, that's a really good main event. This fight, it has a lot of fun fights. Like, Matt Wyman's back. Who thought he was going to come back?
Yep.
And it's just like, it's good matchmaking, but like you said, it lacks the top names.
It does, but there are still some good fights on this card, and I want to break it down with you. So we got 12 fights on the card. Let's start from the bottom, work our way up. First and foremost, we have Anderson Dos Santos taking on Andrade. So an interesting fight to start the card in the bantamweight division. Just pulling up the odds here. Okay, so this actually opened kind of funny here. Andrade opened at minus 305, and Dos Santos opened at plus 225. Since then, the odds have flipped, with Andrade currently a minus 120. A minus 125 favorite, and Andrade a plus 105 underdog. So the odds flipped completely. Looks like the odds makers might have blown that opening line, but it is what it is. We'll see what happens. See how the line moves. Initially, what are your thoughts on this fight, Cole?
Well, this fight, it kind of surprised me. Anderson last fought a featherweight, so he's moved down to bantamweight. I want to see how he looks there. Uwell, he had that tough loss to Nathaniel Wood his last time out. And, like, I talked to him before the fight, and he basically admitted, he said, like, when he woke up, just wasn't in, like, didn't feel like fighting really. Like, fighters get like that all the time. If somebody just wake up, you're not in the mood. And he said, like, he promises that he said this camp, it's the common fighter thing. He said this is the best camp ever, which every fighter says. But I think he gets it done. I'm surprised with the odds, like how they open and everything. But I think he gets it done. I think it goes the distance. I think Dos Santos will be the bigger fighter, given he fought at featherweight. But I think Uwell, I think he is a good prospect. The Nathaniel Wood loss is not a bad loss to have. Like, I think I'm really high on him. But I think Uwell gets done by decision.
I'm not sure if you guys can hear my dogs barking, but they're obviously very excited about the Anderson Dos Santos Andrade. So good for them. But you know, Cole, I actually agree with you on this one. You know, I wouldn't call him a prospect, though. He's 31 years old, so I wouldn't say a veteran either, but he's kind of in that middle ground territory. He actually fought that guy, Patrick Mix, that just picked up a win on the Bellator card this weekend, so he lost to him by rear naked choke. Since then, he's gone 5-1. He lost to Nathaniel Wood, but he did beat Henan Brown in his UFC debut. And yes, it's a washed-up version of Henan Brown, but it's still a pretty good win. I remember I picked him in that fight. He was an underdog. More of a fan on Brown, but still, you know, this Dos Santos guy, 33 years old, a little bit older. He does have a lot of experience. He has more fights. But, you know, like you said, moving down weight, who knows how he's going to look. I actually like Andrade in this fight too, man. So I don't know what you're thinking here, Cole, but I think there might be some value on him at plus 105. I mean, he opened at minus 305. as a big favorite. Now he's an underdog. I think there could be some value. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe the bettors are right about this one, and that's why all the action's going on Dos Santos. But I actually like Ewell in this fight, and I think he can win a decision or maybe get a finish. Next up, middleweight bout. Deron Winn takes on Eric Spicely. This is a short notice fight for Eric Spicely. He's filling in for the injured Bruno Silva. Deron Winn, -3. He opened at -320, currently -280. Eric Spicely opened at +240. He's still +240. So the odds just tightened up a little bit. Cole, what are your thoughts on this fight?
Well, first off, Deron Winn's UFC debut. This is his third opponent he's had to prepare for now. But watching Deron Winn in the Golden Boy, he looked really impressive. Like, he dominated Tom Lawler. I was really high on him after that fight. I thought he was going to get the UFC contract, which he did. Good camp, aka his nickname's Mini DC, like, because DC has really taken him under the wing. He has that good wrestling. I wouldn't be surprised if he just wrestles Eric Spicely, just grinds out a win. Wouldn't be surprised if he like TKO ground and pound either, but it's good for Spicely to get back in the UFC. Hopefully they give him another one after this for doing the UFC a favor, but I think Win wins this fight.
Yeah, I like Win a lot here in this fight, man. I think he wins for sure. You know, -280 might seem high for a guy making his debut, but I just like the matchup for him. I think the wrestling, like you said, is a huge advantage for this guy. You know, I think light heavyweight definitely was too big for him, just too big of a weight class because he's only 5'7". So he would have been really short. I mean, even in this fight, he's 5'7" compared to 6'1" for Spicely, but I think middleweight's a little bit better for this guy. You mentioned he's undefeated. The Tom Lawler fight, I was actually impressed by that performance too. Tom Lawler, yeah, he's not a great fighter, but he's a veteran of the sport. He has some really good wins in his career. So to me, that was a good win. You know, Eric Spicely is kind of a funny fighter, man, because who could forget that win over Thiago Santos? It wasn't that long ago, 2016, but since then, you know, he's been finished quite a few times. He did pick up a couple wins on the regional scene, CES, beat Chao Margales, former UFC fighter, but that win doesn't impress me because that guy's not a great fighter. The problem with Eric Spicely is his durability. You know, he gets finished quite a bit, and I would not be surprised if Deron Winn finishes this fight because if you look at his first 4 fights, he finished everyone. Yeah, he had the decision against Tom Lawler, but I think he could actually finish Eric Spicely. So I like Deron Winn quite a bit in this fight. I mean, I think he's going to be a popular parlay pick. And honestly, I'm surprised the line's a bit higher because I think people will start to fade Eric Spicely very soon. And I expect Deron Winn to dominate this fight and win in pretty impressive fashion. I think this guy is a pretty good prospect at 185 pounds. All right, next up, we have a women's bout between Ariane Lipski and Molly McCann. This is a flyweight bout. Ariane Lipski opened at -145, currently -280. Molly McCann opened at +105, currently +240. Cole, what are your initial thoughts on this fight?
Well, when Lipski first got signed to the UFC, she was basically, everyone thought she would be a future like title challenger, and Calderwood really dominated that fight. Like, she did not really look good. Molly McCann's last fight, she got the job done in England. It was a good win for her. But I do like Lipski in this one. I'm still like fairly high on Lipski. I think she's a good prospect. McCann, I'm not too sure about. I think Lipski will use her striking, really get it done. I don't see McCann take it down to the ground like Calderwood did. So I think it stays standing, and Lipski has the edge striking. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes the distance. Wouldn't be surprised for like a late finish for Lipski either.
I like Lipski too, but I wouldn't bet on her. I'm not after that last fight. I was really disappointed with the fight against Joanne Calderwood. As we've seen in Joanne Calderwood's last fight, she's kind of a limited fighter. She had a nice run there, but you know, she got dominated in that fight, Lipski did, and that doesn't impress me at all. Only 25, though, so she can make some adjustments. Molly McCann, she had a pretty good fight against Priscilla Cachoeira. That was actually a really fun fight to watch. I think we scored that fight together, Cole. Good fight to watch. Before that, I had lost to Jillian Robertson. She has some decent amount of experience as well. Both females, I think, are in the same spot in the division, so even though it's a winner versus loser matchup, I think it makes sense. I do like Lipski here. I think she can win a decision, maybe get a stoppage, probably not. Molly McCann's pretty tough. I'll take Lipski by decision, but Cole, I wouldn't bet on her -280. No way. Not after the last fight. I'd recommend passing on this one. Maybe she goes out there and dominates the fight, but you know, I just wouldn't. I wouldn't feel comfortable laying that kind of juice on someone that was dominated in UFC debut because who knows? Maybe Molly McCann gets a takedown here and just lies on top of her. I don't know. Next up, this is the fight Cole Shelton's been waiting a long time for. We have Yair Rozenstruik taking on Alan Crowder. So Yair Rozenstruik opened at -175, currently -220. Alan Crowder opened at +135, currently +180. Cole, what are your thoughts on this potential fight of the year candidate?
Man, if this doesn't get out of the first round, this is going to be a bad second and third round. Like, well, just first off, I'm shocked they never ran back Crowder Hardy. Like, I don't know why they didn't. It seemed like I even talked to Crowder, and I'm like, why are you fighting him? And he's like, I don't know. Me and my manager totally thought Hardy was coming. We were waiting for Hardy, then we get a contract. It's not his name. But Rosenstruck, although he did get a win, like he didn't look that good. Like he was taken down quite a bit. Crowder against Hardy, he had his moments, but I think Hardy was winning that fight. This is a fight that I totally don't bet on. Anything can happen in this fight. I just think Rosenstruck has the edge in striking. I think he gets it done. Wouldn't be surprised if he finishes Crowder, but again, if this gets out of the first round, this is going to be a bad second, third round. Anything can happen.
Yep. No, I pretty much have the same thoughts, but you know what? I'm a little bit higher on Rosenstruck than you are. I was actually decently impressed with his fight against Junior Albini. I mean, Junior Albini is he's not horrible, and he went out there and knocked him out. So that's decent. He's still undefeated. Most of his wins by knockout. You know, Alan Crowder, though, I'm not impressed by. I don't know, man. I mean, this guy there's nothing about his game that really stands out to me. I know he had a bunch of wins by knockout on the regional scene, including the Dontel Mays win on the Contender series. But, you know, the Justin Willis fight, getting knocked out by Justin Willis is a really bad sign. And Justin Willis is a guy that does not finish fights ever, so that's a bad sign. And the Greg Hardy fight, he was losing that fight and then got kind of lucky with the legal knee, getting the win there, pulling off a big upset, I guess. But nothing about him impresses me. You know, I'm very tempted to bet on Rosenstruck here, but it is heavyweight MMA. So, man, like you said, Cole, just say he gets out of the first round and Rosenstruck, you know, gets tired or something. Maybe Crowder can lie on top of him. I don't know. It's kind of a silly matchup. I still got to pick Rosenstruck. I think he gets a knockout here, but you know, it's I'm on the fence as far as betting on it. I liked him more at minus 175 than I do at minus 220. I will say this: I don't think there's any value in Crowder. I don't think he wins this fight, but you know, I have been wrong before about heavyweight fights because one punch can change the whole perception of the fight. All right, next up. This is an interesting fight here, Cole. I like this fight. It's kind of weird, but I like it. We got Luis Pena, opened at minus 265, currently minus 380, taking on handsome Matt Wyman, opened at plus 185, currently plus 315. Matt Wyman making his return to the UFC for the first time since 2014, so a long time away from the sport, coming back against Luis Pena. Cole, who do you like in this one?
I like Luis Pena, that layoff. I don't really like betting on people coming off long layoffs, just like yourself. I think Pena moving back to lightweight, he'll be much better. He tried the featherweight, didn't look really good, didn't look good at all at weigh-ins. Still got the win over Pedersen, but I think at lightweight, that's where he's going to be much better. He has the striking advantage against Wyman, and I don't know really what Wyman's skill set is like after so many years off. So that's why I think I'm 99% sure Pena is going to win this fight. But again, anything can happen. Takes one punch. I think Pena gets it done. Wouldn't be surprised if he finishes him either.
I think you're a little more confident in Pena than I am. I'll be honest here. I think there could be some value on Matt Wyman at plus 315. I think the odds are a little bit too far off. I know people are fading him, including myself. I mean, I fade everyone coming off a long layoff, so I have to fade a guy coming off a 5-year layoff. I mean, of course, right? But I just think matchup-wise, this is not a bad matchup for Matt Wyman. I think that if this fight goes to the ground, this guy's very crafty in the ground. We've seen him get a lot of submissions in the UFC. He's a tough dude, very hard to finish. He has a ton of experience in the UFC. He's been in the octagon for since 2006, Cole. So he's been in the UFC for 13 years. I mean, you could take 5 off, but still 8 years, you know, if you don't include the layoff. Luis Pena, though, you know, like you said, the fight against Steven Peterson, not a great performance, a bad weight cut, but he did look okay against Smolin. He had that win on the show before he got hurt. The Trezano fight, lost a split, but it was a close fight. The thing that I think draws me to him is the 10-year age advantage here, 25 years old compared to Matt Wyman. That's in addition to Matt Wyman having the long layoff. You know, I'm really tempted to pick Matt Wyman here. I'm not going to lie, because I do think there's value in it. I don't think he should be plus 315. I don't think Pena's proven he should be a minus 380 favorite. So my pick might actually change by the time I submit my picks to Oddsbreaker. But right now, I'll play it safe. I'll go with Luis Pena. I'll take him to win decision over Matt Wyman. But if the line creeps up a little bit more, I might take the risk and pick him outright and take a shot in the dark on the dog, because I just think the odds are a little too far off. But, man, that 5-year layoff, I mean, it's really hard to be confident in a guy coming off of such a long layoff that isn't named Dominic Cruz or George St. Pierre. All right, next up, we have a featherweight, but I like this fight a lot, Cole. To me, I don't know why. I don't think this is on the main card. 1, 2, 3. Wow, this is on prelims? Okay, that's weird. According to Sherdog, anyways, maybe it's on the main card. Kevin Aguilar taking on Dan Ige. Kevin Aguilar opened at minus 175, currently minus 150. Dan Ige opened at plus 135, currently plus 130. So slightly more action coming on Ige, but still a pretty tight line here with a slight lean towards Kevin, the Angel of Death Aguilar. Cole, who do you like in this fight?
I like Danny Ige in this one. Aguilar, his last fight, although he lost, he did look okay. Ige, I think he's a better fighter. He's a fairly good prospect. I think he gets it done. But I think he'll have the advantage in the striking. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes distance. I think this could be a really close fight, like split decision almost even. They're really matched up. This is really good matchmaking, but I think Ige is just a tad bit better.
This is a tough one to call, honestly. I think it's one of the closest fights in the card. I really like this matchup. I mean, here's the thing. People are going to say, oh, why are you matching up two prospects? Well, first off, Kevin Aguilar is 30, so it's make or break time for him. And Danny 27, but he's had a couple of fights in the UFC now. So I actually like the fight, especially in a stacked division like 145. You got to see who's the guy who's going to make it to the top and see the guy who needs more work. This is a close fight to call. I could see it going either way, Cole. I'm going to slightly lean towards Kevin Aguilar. This guy's actually money for me. I've been betting on him in the last couple of fights. He was an underdog, I think, against Barzola, which is insane. Actually, that's not true. I picked Rick Glenn against him, which was a mistake, but I learned from that and had him against Barzola. But in LFA, I was picking him every fight. Even the Joey Gomez fight wasn't a great fight, but he still got the win there. So I like him. he's looked good, though, man. I mean, the fight against Danny Henry was really impressive to me. The guy's got a good ground game. I just think Kevin Aguilar with the wrestling, he can kind of dictate where the fight takes place. And I think that he does have the striking advantage. So we'll see. I think it's a close fight. I could be wrong about this one. I'm not going to bet on it, but I will take Kevin Aguilar to win a decision. Next up, we have a women's bout between Ashley Yoder and Shiori Kondo. Ashley Yoder opened at minus 105, currently minus 120. So, and Kondo opened at minus 130, currently plus 100. So the line slightly flipped a little bit. Looks like the bettors slightly are leaning towards Yoder. I should mention this is a women's strawweight bout. Cole, who do you like in this fight?
Well, this is another fight I wouldn't bet. It's just too close. Kondo, it's former Japanese professional wrestler, which is interesting. Yoder, I think she needs a win. This is a fight, not really sure what happens. I think Kondo will have the advantage in the grappling. Yoder has the advantage in the striking. It's just who can implement their game plan more. If Yoder can keep it on the feet, she'll get it done. If Kondo can get it down to the mat, I wouldn't be surprised if she even submits Yoder. And I think if Yoder loses this, or if either of them loses, I think they're cut. Kondo's coming off 2 losses in a row. Yoder's, I think, 2 losses as well. This is a loser goes home matchup, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you're probably right about that, Cole. I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one to call, like you said. I don't think it's the kind of fight I want to bet on personally. I wouldn't feel confident in either fighter. Slightly lean towards Ashley Yoder, a little bit more experience in the UFC. She had that fight against Mackenzie Dern. I thought she looked okay in that fight as a big underdog. Then she beat Amanda Cooper. I don't think Amanda Cooper is a great fighter, but still got the win. Shiori Kondo, back-to-back losses UFC. Only one finish in her whole career. All her other wins by decision. I don't know. I mean, it could go either way. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about this one. Maybe she goes and wrestles her. Who knows? I don't know. I'll take Yoder to win a decision, but again, not a fight I'm confident in and not one I would at all recommend betting on. All right, now we move up to actually that. You know what? I'm not sure because if that's going to be in the main card or not, but we'll see. I mean, Sherdog does have that listed as the opening fight, Cole, but I'm hoping they switch that with the Dan Ige fight because I think that's a better fight. We'll see what happens. Next up, we have Kevin Holland taking on Alessio Di Chirico in the middleweight fight. Kevin Holland opened at minus 195, currently minus 225. Alessio Di Chirico opened at plus 155, currently plus 185. So slightly more action coming in on Kevin Holland. Cole, who do you like in this one?
I like Kevin Holland in this one. I've been really impressed by him. He had that decision loss to Thiago Santos, but he did a lot better than people thought. Then he beat Gerald Mershart and John Phillips, which aren't bad wins at all. Di Chirico hasn't fought since last summer, so another year-long layoff. It's not a huge layoff, but again, it's a layoff that I'm not really comfortable in. I like Holland. I think he's pretty good. He has the good wrestling. He has okay striking, and I think he can just get Di Chirico down and win this fight. I wouldn't be surprised if he finishes it, but I think this is another fight that goes the distance.
Again, it's another situation where I think you're a little bit more confident in Kevin Holland than me. I mean, I do pick him to win this fight. I will take him. I like this guy. I mean, he's a fun fighter to watch. The fight against Gerald Mershart I thought was a decent fight until the end when they both gasped, but before that was good. He had the loss to Santos, but still made the full 3 rounds with Thiago Santos. That's not that bad. He's had some good wins in his career, including a knockout win over Jeff Neal, which looks really good right now considering how good Jeff Neal looks. And then you have Di Chirico arguably the best fighter from Italy at the moment. I'm sure Bellator wishes they had him instead of Alessio Sakara headlining their cards there. But kind of been inconsistent in UFC. He did beat Julian Marquez in his last fight almost a year ago now. It was a split, but still a good win. And then he knocked out Oliali Bangos, which was a pretty solid win. I think this guy's better than we think he is, but I just haven't seen enough to pick him against Holland, who I think, like you said, Cole, is really well-rounded, good wrestling, good striking. I'll take Kevin Holland. I think he actually can get a finish in this fight, but if not, he'll win a decision. But I'm not sure if I want to lay minus 225 on him. I don't know. It could be a spot where there possibly could be an upset. Next up, women's flyweight bout. I like this fight, Cole. Andrea Lee, KGB, opened at minus 185, currently minus 225. Montana De La Rosa opened at plus 145, currently plus 185. Cole, who do you like in this fight?
This is another really close fight. I think the odds should be a bit closer. I do favor Lee in this one, but this is a fight that's really good matchmaking and really important in the flyweight division. I think winner of this could be like one win away from getting a title shot, like match up with Chukagan or something like that, and winner of that one gets the bout or gets a title shot. But I think this is a fight where if De La Rosa gets down to the ground, over every other opponent, she's had a huge ground advantage with her submissions, but Lee has shown she has good submission defense and she can submit off her back, which is really important against De La Rosa. I think Lee is better in the striking, and I think this fight, if De La Rosa can't get it down to the ground, I think Lee gets the win. But even if she does, I think Lee still has like a slight advantage, if not just even with De La Rosa on the ground. So I think Lee gets this done. Wouldn't be surprised if she finishes this fight either.
I'm actually going the other way. I like Montana De La Rosa in this fight. I think there's value on her plus 185 personally. I mean, both fighters are good, of course. They're both coming off a nice win streak. Montana De La Rosa 4 straight wins. Andrea Lee 6 straight wins. I've been so impressed with Montana De La Rosa. I mean, she's finishing everyone, which I like. Andrea Lee is going to decisions. I like the fact she's finishing fights. Maybe I'm wrong about this one. It seems like everyone's on Andrea Lee, including yourself, Cole. So maybe I'm thinking the wrong way here. But I like De La Rosa, man. I think she can get the fight to the ground. I think maybe a submission's in the works. If not, I think she can maybe just grapple Andrea Lee and win a decision here. I'm very interested in this fight. The winner of this fight, I think, could be one step closer to getting a title shot in a very weak division. They probably need like 1 or 2 more wins, but very important fight at women's 125. I'll take Montana De La Rosa. I'm just looking at the prop on her by submission here. Where is that? De La Rosa by submission. Plus 425. I think maybe you could throw a few bucks on that. I think there's a chance that could win.
Well, and something else. I was talking to De La Rosa, and I'm like, is Leah a person you want to fight? And she said, absolutely not. Like, they're trained together, and they share a wrestling coach. So it's been really weird for her, she said, because she still has to use this wrestling coach, but they're, like, keeping him out of the loop of the game plan. They're just, like, working in wrestling. So it's really weird for, I guess, he's probably in a weird spot, like, because he has to be paid. Like, he's been working with both of them, and you can't just, and he's not picking a side, he's just working with both of them. So I'm going to be interested, like, how that plays a factor. And they've been trained together a lot, she says.
Yeah, it's an interesting fight. I like the matchup. All right, next up, welterweight bout between Brian Barberina and Randy Brown. Another good fight here, Cole. Brian Barberina opened at minus 185, currently minus 270. Randy Brown opened at plus 145, currently plus 230. Cole, what's your pick in this fight?
I really like Brian Barberina in this one. He looked really good against Vicente Luque. He was winning that fight, in my opinion, until he got knocked out late. Randy Brown is coming off that knockout loss to Nico Price. Wouldn't be surprised if – I honestly think Barberina is going to finish this fight by knockout. Brown, I think he hasn't been too impressive in the UFC. And Barberina, like, he just puts on exciting fights. Like, as it was, he just goes down and throws down. I think he's going to get a knockout. When, like, I think second, third round, he gets a knockout. But I think even if he doesn't, I think he wins this fight rather easily. Yeah,
I think you're a little more, again, more confident than me in the favorite here, Brian Barberina. I think there is upset potential for Randy Brown. I mean, he is a better athlete in this fight, and maybe he has the wrestling and skills to take the fight to the ground and kind of hold Barberina there. But I am worried about his chin. I mean, that last knockout loss was against Nico Price. You don't see guys getting knocked out by hammer fist when the guy's lying on his back. It's very rare. The Brian Barberina knockout, I mean, that was a war, Cole. That was a war of a fight. It was an amazing fight, no doubt about it. But I mean, that's the kind of fight that changes this guy's career. So I am worried about him. I wouldn't bet on Brian Barberina minus 270 personally. I'm going to pick him to win this fight. I think he's just more tough. I think that's why I'm going to pick him. More tough, better cardio, and the guy's proven he can get his hand raised. So I'll take Brian Barberina. Maybe a decision call, maybe a knockout. Not too sure. I won't lean towards Barberina, but I think as far as the betting line goes, there's a little bit more value, I think, on Brown as a dog. I'm just not willing to pull the trigger on him based on the last fight. And yeah, I'll just take Barberina and play it safe here. All right, co-main event time. Really intriguing rematch here between bantamweights John Lineker and Rob Font. John Lineker opened at minus 270, currently minus 210. Rob Font opened at plus 190, currently plus 175. Cole, who do you like in the rematch?
This is a really interesting fight. I think there's Lineker. I think you scored it that he won his last fight, right? Against Sandhagen?
Yeah, and the funny thing was I actually had bet on Sandhagen and recommended him as a prime pick and picked him and everything. But, when I watch fights, like whatever I picked doesn't matter because at that point it's under my hand. So I just try to be as unbiased as possible. And it's funny because everyone else picked John Lineker and then they scored it for Sandhagen. So it just shows that I'm not biased, guys. I mean, I've had people say, oh, you're scoring fights for guys you bet on. What do I care? I mean, at that point, it doesn't matter to me. So I did think Lineker edged it out, but it was a super close fight.
Yeah, it's a really close fight. I favor Lineker in this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Font gets it done. I think Lineker, he has the power to knock Font out. Font, if he uses his grappling, and I think if he keeps Lineker like at distance, similar to what Sandhagen did, he'll have a good night. But I think Lineker can get inside, close distance on Font, and really cause havoc with his hands. Like he has really good knockout power for 135, and I think he gets a finish here.
Yeah, I like Lineker a lot, man. First fight he won 3 years ago in 2016 in Brazil. I don't see any reason why he won't win again. I mean, we should mention my dogs are barking again. They're really excited about this fight. So am I. Great fight. We should mention here that John Lineker is taking the fight relatively short notice, about 3 weeks notice, filling in for the injured Cody Stamann. But the other thing we should mention is this guy was on Twitter telling the UFC, cut me because I want to fight. So he was probably training and ready to go. And he got the first fight that was available. It's a rematch, but he still needed to fight. He still needs to make money. I like John Lineker a lot in this fight, man. I just think he matches up really well against Rob Font. I like Rob Font as a fighter. I think he's really good. He has shown some improvements, but I just think the matchup favors John Lineker. I think he's the faster guy, the more powerful guy. He is smaller for sure, but we saw in the first fight that didn't matter. The guy's a beast. Rob Font's a beast, but I like John Lineker. Rob Font's pretty tough, not easy to finish. Maybe Lineker wins the decision. Let me check the prop. Lineker by decision is plus 142, but Lineker by knockout is plus 316. And I do think there's a chance that wins too. So either way, I like John Lineker a lot in this fight, man. He's probably one of my more confident picks in the card. Finally, time for the main event, Cole. Great fight. Great fight. The Korean Zombie, Chan Sung Jung against Renato Moicano. Moicano opened at minus 120. The Korean Zombie opened at minus 120, so a pick 'em. But since then, the action's coming on Moicano, who's currently minus 200, and we got the Korean Zombie at plus 170. Cole, who's your pick in the main event of UFC Greenville?
Well, this is a really interesting fight, like both coming off losses. And Moicano, although he lost Aldo, I think he looked good in the first round. Chan Sung Jung, or Korean Zombie, he was winning that in Jair Rodriguez fight until he got caught by the elbow. But this is a fight where I agree with the odds. Like, it should be a pick-em. This is a super close fight. I think Moicano has the edge in striking, but Zombie's shown like he can take a ton of damage and just keep moving forward. So the thing that like I keep on coming back to is Aldo blitzed Moicano and really got him out there quick. If Chan Sung Jung just keeps on getting hit and blitzes forward, I think he'll finish this fight. I favor Moicano slightly. I think he can grind out a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if Korean Zombie wins this fight either, though. This is a super close fight.
Yeah, it's close for sure. I personally wouldn't pick a side, but I'm actually in the camp that I think the fight ends inside 5 rounds, and I like this prop on the fight not going the distance. Korean Zombie has not gone to a decision since 2010 against Leonard Garcia, so it's been almost a decade since he's seen the judges' scorecards. He's had long layoffs in between, but still, the guy either finishes fights or he gets finished himself. I don't see any reason why this wouldn't be the case here. Moicano, if you look at his career, he's got 8 finishes and 8 fights that went the distance, but 3 of his last 4 fights ended inside the distance. So I think he's opening up his offense a little more. That could cost him here. It could help him. I think someone gets knocked out in this fight, Cole. I don't see it going the full 5 rounds. I'm personally going to lean towards Moicano getting the finish. Just the fact Jung's coming off such a brutal knockout loss, like the kind of career-changing knockout loss that could really affect a guy kind of a long layoff, 8 months now. Moicano, yeah, he's coming off a knockout loss too, but like you said, kind of got blitzed there and looked good against Aldo in the first round. I don't see these guys' chins holding up for 5 rounds. So if anything, the prop on the fight, not going the distance, minus 225, that's the bet I'd make. But if I have to pick a side, I'll take Moicano to win a decision. So that's it for the UFC Greenville preview. So for the most part, we agreed on most of the fights, but we did take a couple of different picks here. I took De La Rosa as a dog, and Cole took Ige. So otherwise, we took, I think, most of the favorites on this card. Oh, we both picked Ula as a dog as well. So that's interesting. That's our consensus dog of the night. All right. Before we get out of here, there's a couple other things I want to talk about, including the Bellator London card. So Bellator 223, that takes place this Saturday as well. So I don't know, Cole. What are you working on for Sherdog this week? Are you going to do Bellator?
I'm doing UFC. I don't even think. I think this London card could be the tape delayed thing they do, which is so dumb.
Oh, that's awful. Yeah, I wasn't planning on watching until after. I was assuming it was on DAZN, but if not, that's terrible. There are some decent fights in this card. There's, oh man, I'm looking at Sherdog. Cole, there's 19 fights in this card. Why do they have so many fights? Like there was 18 last week.
Yeah, I worked that card. It was terrible. We were all complaining in the scoring chat. We're like, this is taking. And the thing is, like, Pico fought, and we're like, all right, prelims got to be done. But they have like 5 fights. I thought we were going to be the postlands. They're like, oh, we have time. We're going to do all these guys. That should have been like the first fights tonight.
Oh my god, that's
so you go from like Pico and Heather Hardy and like Valerie Urleta, like the 3 top people on the prelims, to these like 3-4 fights that are just like low level MMA that we're just dragging on.
Oh god, that's awful. Anyways, I'm glad I missed that one. All right, let's talk about this card quickly. Like I said, there are some decent fights in the prelims here, but still, I think too many fights. I don't think you should have 19 fights on the card. I'm sure someone will complain and say that I don't like the sport because I don't watch 19 fights in one night, but it is what it is. All right, so main event of the evening, Gegard Mousasi versus Rafael Lovato Jr. Middleweight championship bout. Mousasi defending his belt. Gegard Mousasi, the dream catcher, opened at -405, currently -675. Rafael Lovato Jr. opened at +285, currently +450. Cole, I have a feeling I know who you're going to pick in this one.
I like Mousasi in this one. Lovato Jr. just didn't have enough experience yet. He has really good jiu-jitsu, but Mousasi off his back and on the top, like his ground pound is vicious. I think he'll keep this fight on the feet. I wouldn't be surprised if he knocks Lovato Jr. out early. I think really anyone in the middleweight division in Bellator, I don't really see them giving Mousasi a run for a while.
I'm 100% picking Mousasi here. Don't get me wrong. The guy, I'm sure he's going to win. I'm sure he's going to win by stoppage too. But -675, I don't think there's value there. There could be sneaky value in Lovato Jr. I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to put any money on this one. But I mean, just say he does get the fight to the ground, Cole. Mousasi's been submitted a couple times, including by Jacare. This guy has some of the best jiu-jitsu in the sport. I don't think it happens. But if he does get it to the ground, Mousasi could be in trouble. I'm going to pick Mousasi to win by TKO. I think that's the most likely way the fight ends. But again, -675 against the guy with like probably the best jiu-jitsu in the sport, maybe right now. I personally wouldn't bet it. So Mousasi by TKO, but I'm going to stay away from it. Curious to see if there's any props that come out for this card.
If you're Lovato, do you pull guard against Mousasi?
Yeah, I think you do pull like for Riso for some kind of game plan, just kind of flop and pull guard. I mean, I don't think he could compete on the feet, Cole. If the fight stays standing, he's going to get destroyed. Mousasi has insane striking skills, an amazing jab, really fast. There's no chance I think Lovato Jr. will win on the feet. I mean, you could say, yeah, he get one punch, but I don't see that coming from him. The only way he wins is if he gets to the ground. And I'm just saying, I mean, Mousasi's last fight went to the ground against Rory. He goes to the ground in a lot of his fights. Who knows? I mean, we saw what happened against Jacare. People were picking Mousasi in that one, and he got submitted, I think, in the first round by guillotine. So I don't know. I'm going to pick Mousasi, like I said, Cole, but I personally, I wouldn't play him at -675. Just don't see value there at that odds. All right, 2 other fights up odds. We have this would have been an intriguing welterweight bout like 5 years ago, Cole, or maybe 10 years ago, back when a certain guy was the pre-USADA days. I don't know how he's looking now. Anyways, we got Paul Daly. He opened at -245, currently -335, and we have Eric Silva. He opened at +175, currently +255. Cole, again, I think I know who you like in this one.
I like Paul Daly. This happens a lot of Bellator fights. The odds are really high. They just favor a lot of guys. Their matchmaking isn't the best, but I think Paul Daly gets it done. I think he finishes Silva. I think this is going to be a TKO win. MVP, that fight wasn't his best performance. He just used his wrestling, which was surprising, but I think he doesn't use his wrestling at all. I think he keeps his fight on the feet, and I think he knocks Silva out.
Yeah, it's funny. Paul Daly's 36 and Eric Silva's 34, but I feel like Eric Silva's older in fighter. It's all his knockout losses, man. He hasn't looked good in a long time. He did beat Nick Barnes in LFA last year, but other than that, I mean, this guy's looked awful the last couple of years. His chin's gone now. Again, a guy that I think a lot of people think was juicing his whole career. I mean, it's hard for us to go on the podcast and point the finger at the guy when he's never tested positive, but his results just haven't been there. And then you have Paul Daly. Like you said, the Michael Page fight was close. I mean, just say he pulled that decision off. I think he'd be doing bigger favorite here, but I think fans and bettors definitely respect him for that. And don't forget the fight against Lawrence Larkin. He was an underdog in that fight, knocked out Larkin, who's a pretty good fighter himself and used to be really good. So I like Paul Daly too, man. I think he gets the job done. And again, I think he wins by knockout. I'm looking for that prop if it does come out. Finally, we have a catchweight bout. By the way, what the fuck is with these catchweight bouts? Why does Bellator do these catch? I don't get it. Tell me, Cole. Why do they do catchweights?
The Dylan Dennis weight.
Why though? What's the point?
It's so dumb, and I don't know. They do it all. Like Dennis will literally have a full training camp, and it's 175. Austin Vanderford will have a full training camp, and it's like 175. Like cut to 170. Like you have a full camp, but I don't know why they do it.
It's weird. Anyways, this fight's at 140 pounds. We have James Gallagher, the Strabinal, 22 years old, fighting out of Ireland, coming off a win over Stephen Graham. Oh, I should say the odds. James Gallagher, he opened at minus 750, currently minus 520. Jeremiah Labiano, opened at plus 450, currently plus 380. So like I said, Gallagher coming off a win over Graham, but he had that surprising knockout loss against Ricky Banderas. Me and James on the old podcast, we both picked Banderas in that fight as an underdog. And then that guy, Gallagher, was campaigning for a rematch, didn't deserve it. I'm glad they didn't give it to him. He's taking on Jeremiah Labiano here he's coming off a win over Justice Bentley. I don't really know who that is, to be honest with you. Baisiko also lost to Noad Lahad. He does have a win over Vince Murdoch, who the UFC just signed. And he's also lost to Joe Soto, and Ricky Simone has a win over Tyson Nam, the guy who knocked out Eduardo Dantes a long time ago. So he has a lot of experience, actually. But, I mean, let's be honest here, Cole. I'm pretty sure Bellator wants James Gallagher to win this fight in devastating fashion. Who do you like in this one?
Gallagher by early submission. This is just another guy to give Gallagher a win on his record.
Yeah, no, for sure. I want to take a look at something here. If you parlay the three of them, let me just take a look. The three favorites. The odds are minus 129, so you basically get, close to what to pick them. I don't know. I mean, it's kind of risky to parlay three guys because who knows? One punch, like you said, Cole, could end any fight, or one submission in the case of Lawal Jr. I don't know if I'd bet on it, but I think if you're going to bet on this card, maybe that's the way to do it. Just parlay the three. But again, when you risk heavy juice on guys that are inconsistent like Gallagher, it's kind of risky. I do think he wins, though. He probably wins by submission. Just looking through the rest of the card, Cole, I don't know if you could pull your Sherdog out here. There are some decent fights. I mean, maybe we'll get odds on them, but what do you think about this fight? Fabian Edwards against Jonathan Basuko. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I like Fabian Edwards. I think he's really good. I think this is a guy I'm surprised the UFC didn't sign. They have Leon Edwards. I think they could have made Fabian. I think he's a good prospect. I think he gets it done. Another favorable matchup for him in London to really get the home crowd going before all the top three fights, and I think he gets it done. Wouldn't be surprised if he finishes this fight either. Yeah,
I'm with you on that one. What about this one? Melvin Manhoef against Kent Kopipin. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's the guy that knocked out Alessio Sakara against Melvin Manhoef. Any thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I like Manhoef. I think this is a really interesting fight. It's a closer fight than all the other fights, which is good for Bellator. This is a fight I could see going either way. Wouldn't be surprised if someone gets knocked out. I think that's how it's going to go, but I favor Manhoef.
Yeah, I'm kind of another way, though, because he's 43. This guy Kopipin coming off the win over Sakara, but again, he lost a couple fights before that, including to Fabian Edwards. I don't know. I'm kind of hoping odds come out for that one because I'm interested. There's also Charlie Ward's fighting on this card, Aaron Chalmers, Nathan Grayson. It's another guy. This guy, Terry Brazier, who was a good prospect. Oliver Enkamp, who was in the UFC for a while. There's a couple other guys. Galore Bafondo, the guy who knocked out Charlie Ward. That's so weird they're on the same card again. Any other fight to stand out to, or any other fighters you want to talk about? Really quick?
No, you really Nate. I just checked Bellator's website. They said main card starts at 9 on DAZN and Paramount, which means that's tape delayed. Because no way it's 9 p.m. Eastern in London. They're going to do this fight. Yeah, well, those poor suckers at Sherdog staff that have to do the play-by-play for 19 fights. I'm just kidding. I don't think we're doing it. So no,
thankfully, right? Well, I'll be doing the UFC card. Are you doing it too?
Yeah, I think I'm scoring. I was talking to Jay the other day.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Before we get out of here, a couple of fight announcements we'll talk about quickly. Actually, no, let's talk about Contender Series. I actually did this in my podcast, so I talked about it. I was really impressed by Jorgen De Castro's performance. Blown away, actually. I mean, great takedown defense, good knockout power, and that kick was nasty. I think they made the right call signing him. I'm a little surprised they didn't sign Lofton after a war. I also thought Goldie could have got a developmental deal, and I think the Punanelli guy, I wouldn't have picked him personally. Any initial thoughts on the fights last night, Cole?
Yeah, I was with you. DeCastro really impressed me. I thought Goldie they could have signed, especially in strawweight division. She's pretty tough. And then that Algio and his name's slipping me, but yeah, that was such a good fight. Like I don't get he shoots for takedown 10 seconds left to win the fight. Like you're not trying to get knocked out because then your chance go away. I don't agree with Dana White not signing with them. I don't think that the main event did not impress me at all. I wouldn't have signed either of them. And I'm surprised. And you're saying like, oh, he's a killer. Like he was so mad he didn't finish his fight. But I think his fight, he didn't really impress me. Like I don't think he's going to be that good. But I'm just glad the Contender Series back. I like it. 4 or 5 quick fights on a Tuesday, just nice and quick. Get it out of the way too.
Yeah, it's sweet. No, I love it too. I'm with you, Cole. I think we have the same thoughts on that. And just before we get out of here, there's a couple other fights the UFC's announced. A couple of main events we should talk about quickly. UFC San Antonio main event: Rafael dos Anjos versus Leon Edwards, the brother of Fabian. Any thoughts on that one?
Well, this is a really good fight. Really interesting fight. Leon Edwards has been on a roll. RDA looked really good against Kevin Lee. I think my early impressions, I favor Leon Edwards, but RDA, like he's shown, like his losses are to Usman and Covington as of late. Like those are the top guys in the welterweight division. Like you cannot be hating on those losses. Everyone was picking Kevin Lee against him. I picked Kevin Lee, but RDA really shut the door on him. But I think Edwards, I think he has the better cardio than Lee, and I think he has better striking. I think he can get this fight done, but it's a super close fight.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that one too. I do favor Leon Edwards in it, but RDA really impressed me against Kevin Lee, and like you said, Cole, he's only really lost to elite guys. So close fight, great matchup, amazing matchmaking there. Love the matchup, and it's going to be an interesting fight for sure. And the fight that was rumored to be the San Antonio main event, but is actually going to be the main event of UFC Uruguay: Valentina Shevchenko versus Liz Carmouche, the rematch. Who do you like in this one?
This is going to be another win for Shevchenko. I was saying when it was announced, I don't know if it was in the MMA news or Sherdog Slack chat, but I'm like, this women's flyweight division is going to be awfully similar to the men's flyweight, where it's going to be a dominant champion, and fans are just going to start losing interest, and they really can't put them on pay-per-views. They have to be a co-main on the pay-per-view. Like Shevchenko is just going to dominate this fight. She's going to get another knockout, I bet. And who's going to be after Carmouche? Like Caitlin Chikane, who lost Jessica Eye. That's going to be another win for Shevchenko. This is going to be a fight where I think eventually the UFC is going to say, look, you got to go up to 35. You got to fight the 35 champion.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I see Shevchenko winning. I don't know if it was you that wrote the article, but I saw one, I think, on BJ Penn, and Liz Carmouche had been talking, or maybe it was Tom that was doing it, but Valentina talked about the fight with Liz back in the day in 2010, said the doctor stopped the fight. I haven't seen that fight, Cole, but I would like to watch it at some point before this one. We still have to go with Valentina in this matchup, of course, and I think she'd be a massive favorite. Is there any other fights that were announced recently in the last couple of weeks or whatever? How about this one? Weili Zhang versus Jessica Andrade. We didn't talk about that fight.
Man, when I saw that, I'm like, the only reason this is happening is because there's an event in China. If the UFC was not going to China this year, Weili Zhang was not getting the title shot. I think it's funny how Dana White says, oh, Michelle Waterson's ranked too low to get a title fight, and Zhang's ranked one above her. Like, Suarez, I guess, didn't impress them enough in her fight against Anturov to get the title shot. But it's the thing, like, I think Andrade wins this fight, and I'm surprised she's going to China. Like, I thought they would have done Zhang against an opponent where she can win and get another win in China, because I don't think she wins this fight at all.
Yeah, no, I think she's good. I mean, I think she's actually really good. And I was surprised when the matchup came out, but looking at her record, it's actually more impressive than I thought. She's looked good in the UFC. I still think you have to go with Jessica in this fight, though. I mean, how could you go against her, right? Like, even though she's a bit small for that division, she's still a monster. So I like Jessica Andrade. She probably wins the fight by stoppage, and it's a fine fight, though. I think for China. I mean, I think, by the way, Cole, what you saw that time for that? What is it? 3 a.m. We're gonna be doing this.
Yeah, I hope we don't do a play-by-play. That's gonna suck.
What we're doing, of course, we are. We cover everything at Sherdog, and I think that's a good time to get out of here, Cole. So I'll plug my stuff in a sec. Go ahead, plug anything you want.
Twitter at ColeShelton91. BHP.com, the fighter picks for Zombie Mokano. Tomorrow I'll have fighter picks for Artem Lopov, Paulie Malignaggi's fight this Saturday. Really, I don't know why. Sherdog, I'm gonna write up. I spoke to Rafael Lovato. Bellator hooked that up. I'm supposed to talk to Mousasi and Gallagher tomorrow. See what happens. Sherdog, talk to Alan Crowder, and then just all my other stuff you can check out on my Twitter. Like if I do stuff for MMA news or whatever.
Awesome. All right. Check me out on Twitter, guys, at MMAdamMartin. Check this show out, MMAOddsbreaker.com. Check it out on our YouTube channel. Please like, share, subscribe. Me and Cole really enjoy doing it. And thanks to Rafael at the MMA Oddsbreaker team for making the sick logo with both our names on. I love that. So that's pretty sweet. Also, check me out at Sherdog.com. Like I mentioned, I'll be doing the play-by-play this weekend, this Saturday for UFC Greenville. The card we just previewed. The card, I believe, what I saw, starts at 4 p.m. Eastern. So an early card. Main card starts at 7. We'll be done at hopefully at 10 o'clock or something like that, which is pretty sweet. Much better than the old days on Fox where the cards didn't end until like 1:30 in the morning. I was so tired about that. Great that they end early now. BJPen.com, I just wrote an article about Dana White's son going to be boxing an amateur boxing event at the UFC Apex. MMAnews.com, check me out there as well. I'll be doing my Bellator 223 predictions, although you already heard them and heard who I like in this episode. And MMA Ratings.net, I'll throw an article up there as well this week. Guys, thanks again for tuning in. Me and Cole love doing the show. We'll be back, I believe, next week, Cole, for the UFC Minneapolis card, UFC on ESPN. But until then, guys, keep watching, keep liking, keep sharing, keep subscribing. We appreciate it all. Follow us on Twitter. Always talking about MMA. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you guys soon. Enjoy UFC Greenville.